What if you could capture the entire optimism of the atomic age, the soaring ambition of the space race, and the unapologetic decadence of the American dream in 2 tons of steel and chrome? In the late 1950s, Cadillac didn't just build a car, they built a rolling monument to the idea that more was never enough. If the rumble of a Harley-Davidson panhead was the rebellious heartbeat of the American road, the 1959 Cadillac Eldorado was its crown jewel. A majestic, fin-tailed fantasy that signaled you had truly arrived. This was the peak of American excess, a time when engineers and designers looked at the stars and decided that their car should look like they were ready to fly there. The story of the 1959 Eldorado begins with a philosophy of absolute luxury. In the post-war era, Cadillac was the undisputed standard of the world. But by 1959, the brand wanted to push the boundaries of what a luxury vehicle could be. The result was a machine that stretched nearly 19 feet long. It wasn't just a car, it was a statement of terrestrial power. With its massive grille shimmering like a wall of diamonds and a silhouette that seemed to go on forever, the Eldorado was the ultimate expression of the space-age design movement. Every curve, every piece of brushed aluminum, and every stitch of the opulent leather interior whispered of a future where anything was possible. It was the chariot of the elite, the dream of the working man, and the most recognizable silhouette in automotive history. But you can't talk about the 59 Cadillac without talking about the fins. The late 50s were defined by what historians now call the fin wars. It started as a subtle aerodynamic suggestion in the late 40s, inspired by the twin-tailed P-38 Lightning fighter plane. But by the end of the decade, it had spiraled into a full-blown obsession. Chrysler, Ford, and GM were locked in a vertical arms race, each trying to outdo the other with taller, sharper, and more aggressive rear-end treatments. In 1959, Cadillac effectively ended the war by winning it. The tail fins on the Eldorado reached a staggering height of nearly 40 inches from the ground. They were topped with dual bullet-shaped taillights that glowed like rocket afterburners in the night. To some, they were ridiculous. To the rockers and the pin-up girls of the era, they were the height of cool. Those fins weren't just for stability. They were sharp, aggressive, and perfectly captured the forward motion energy of a country that was obsessed with the new frontier of space. This sense of high-stakes style found its natural home under the neon lights of the Nevada desert. The 1959 Cadillac became the unofficial mascot of the Las Vegas grind music scene. This was the world of the high roller, the lounge singer, and the late-night burlesque shows. The grind was a gritty, rhythmic style of instrumental rock and roll and striptease blues. Nothing complemented that sultry, swinging sound better than a white-walled Cadillac cruising down Las Vegas Boulevard. If you were a star in a tuxedo or a pin-up girl in a cocktail dress, the Eldorado was your stage. It represented the Vegas glamour lifestyle, a world of martini shakers, velvet-lined booths, and the high-octane energy of a city that never slept. The car and the culture were inseparable. Both were loud, expensive, and completely dedicated to the pursuit of pleasure. Underneath all that chrome and style, however, was a vehicle that was surprisingly ahead of its time. The 1959 Cadillac wasn't just a pretty face. It was a laboratory for the technology of the future. One of the most fascinating innovations was the Atronic Eye. This was a dashboard-mounted light sensor that could automatically dim the car's high beams when it detected oncoming traffic, a feature that feels modern even today. Then there was the air suspension system, designed to give the heavy Cadillac a ride that felt like floating on a cloud. It was complex, occasionally temperamental, but it represented a commitment to providing a ride quality that no other manufacturer could match. With power steering, power brakes, and a massive 390 cubic inch V8 engine that produced 345 horsepower, the Eldorado was a technical marvel that moved its massive weight with a silent, effortless grace. It was the pinnacle of mid-century engineering, proving that American manufacturers could innovate just as well as they could decorate. As the decades passed, the 1959 Cadillac transitioned from a status symbol to a cultural icon. It refused to fade into the background. While other cars from the 50s were forgotten or scrapped, the fin-tailed Eldorado became the go-to visual shorthand for cool. In the 1970s and 80s, it found a second life in music videos and vintage photography. From the covers of rockabilly albums to the stylized world of fashion shoots, The car's exaggerated lines and iconic taillights became symbols of a lost golden age. For the modern rocker and the vintage enthusiast, owning a '59 Cadillac is like owning a piece of fine art. It's a connection to a time when designers weren't afraid to be bold, and when a car was more than just transportation, it was a fantasy made real. Whether it's sitting in a museum or cruising to a local diner, the Eldorado still commands the same awe and respect it did when it first rolled off the assembly line. The Cadillac Eldorado remains the ultimate dream on wheels. It represents a moment in time when America felt invincible, when our cars were as big as our ambitions, and when a pair of tail fins could point the way to the future. It's the sound of a saxophone solo in a smoky lounge and the reflection of neon lights on a polished hood. We want to know, if you could take a road trip in any classic Cadillac, which year would you choose and where would you go? Tell us your Cadillac stories in the comments below. But while the Americans were perfecting the art of the luxury cruiser, a very different kind of revolution was brewing across the Atlantic. While the Cadillac was built for the wide-open boulevards and the high-roller lifestyle, a group of young rebels in the UK were looking for something leaner, faster, and much more nimble. Next time, we're trading the plush leather seats for a narrow saddle and a parallel twin engine. We're heading to the Bonneville Salt Flats and the transport cafes of London to witness the arrival of a British speed demon that would change the world of motorcycling forever. Get ready for the snap of a leather jacket and the roar of a lightweight frame, because next time we're talking about the Triumph Bonneville. Until then, keep your fins high and your chrome shining. This is Revival.